You will like this Irish song, I think, because it's an Irish American comic song and different from my usual Irish patriotic and rebellion songs. Episode 132 Irish Songs and Who Threw the Overalls in Mrs. Murphy's Chowder and the rest of the story. Who Threw the Overalls in Mrs. Murphy's Chowder is a classic comic Irish American song written and composed by George Giefer in 1898. It originated on New York's Tin Pan Alley as a novelty song, poking fun at the Irish stereotypes common in late 19th century American vaudeville. The earliest recording was by vaudeville performer Edward Favor in 1901 on an Edison cylinder. Paul Harvey, a well-known radio journalist, used this to end his 1970s show, and now you know the rest of the story. I'm stealing his good idea, the rest of the story, for my Irish Songs series. Growing up at the Murphy three-decker second-floor flat meant that our big Irish family ate what was put in front of us. My mother often made great fish chowder. My brother Gary and I were fishermen and brought home lots of fresh haddock, cod, pollock, and flounder, caught off the City Point fish pier. My mother, also named Mrs. Murphy, would cook the fish with chunks of salt pork plus onions, potatoes, spices, and milk. Mrs. Murphy's chowder was special and delicious. Also, growing up at the Murphys meant that at family parties, every kid was expected to sing a particular Irish song that he or she chose, like Danny Boy or maybe the Black Velvet Band, etc. Dad would end the fest by singing with gusto the great marching song, Old Donald O'Boo. That song story is available on my episode 118. Who Threw the Overalls in Mrs. Murphy's Chowder later became more popular through recordings, notably Bing Crosby's 1945 version, which was a hit and tied the song to St. Patrick's Day celebrations. The song appeared in movies and was recorded by many artists. Its lyrics were sometimes edited to tone down the supposed ethnic slur, like mick. By the way, there were other so-called Irish racial slurs, among them such as bog walkers and harps. Don't you think those were pretty mild slurs? So, in this song, Who Threw the Overalls in Mrs. Murphy's Chowder? Who is the culprit? The lyrics explain that it actually was an accident and no one was guilty. It seemed that Mrs. Murphy had used her big chowder pot to wash laundry earlier that day and forgot to remove the pair of overalls before cooking the chowder. When they're discovered at the bottom of the pot, McGinty gets furious, assuming it's a prank, and belts out the famous chorus, demanding to know who did it. Once the mix-up is revealed, everyone laughs, apologizes, and turns McGinty's rant into the song's chorus. The punchline is that it's an innocent mistake. The song remains a beloved but now dated, humorous tune for over a century. If there are prizes for singing performances, yours truly would be getting many booby prizes. So now I will try for another. Who Threw the Overalls in Mrs. Murphy's Chowder? The Murphys threw a party just a week ago. Everything was plentiful. The Murphys, they're not slow. They treated us like gentlemen. We tried to act the same. But for what happened, it was an awful shame. Mrs. Murphy dished the chowder out. She fainted on the spot. She found a pair of overalls at the bottom of the pot. McGinty, he got ripping mad. His eyes were bulging out. He jumped upon the piano and loudly did he shout, Who threw the overalls in Mrs. Murphy's chowder? Nobody answers, so we shouted all the louder. It's an Irish trick, that's true, but I will lick the mick that threw the overalls in Mrs. Murphy's chowder. They dragged the pants from out the soup and laid them on the floor. Each man swore upon his life he'd never seen them before. They were plastered up with mortar and were worn out at the knee. They had their many ups and downs that we could plainly see. And when Mrs. Murphy awoke, she began to cry and pout. She put them in the wash that day and forgot to take them out. McGinty, he excused himself of what he said that night. So we put the music to his words and sang with all our might. Who threw the overalls in Mrs. Murphy's chowder? Nobody answered, so we shouted all the louder. It's an Irish trick, that's true, and I will lick the mick that threw the overalls in Mrs. Murphy's chowder. And now you know the rest of the story. I am Rod Murphy, and this is Growing Up Poor in Irish Boston, a series of my 1950s era Irish Boston songs, history, jokes, and stories. This is Rod Murphy. Thank you for viewing or listening to my YouTube and podcast episodes. I really appreciate it. If you enjoy them, please hit the subscribe button. Does not cost you anything, and it helps me to grow my audience. Again, my thanks.